Hello, check. Good morning, everyone. I'm not starting this off, but if you could move in a little bit just to take up some of the chairs. We still have a number of people outside that are coming in, so squish together because we're going to be full today. For those of you still coming in, there's some room upstairs with Wilma.
Hello, everyone. This is your 1-minute warning. Everyone grab your seats. We will begin shortly.
Hello. Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah? Hi. Hello. Well, hello? Hello.
Louder, yep.
Okay, are we good? Okay.
Get up on stage there, Missy, or down the hall.
I have to get up on stage. Well, this is where you all are. I've been waiting outside for all of you. Like, where's all your gardening gear? Like, hi, I don't, Clara, did I misunderstand?
Yes, actually, this is our health and wellness fair. Healthy aging, nurturing the garden within. We're not gardening.
Oh my goodness. This one seems to be working better. I thought we were going to spend the day gardening, okay? I thought you said nurturing the garden at Elam. So I even brought Jeff. Well, you can go, Jeff, but you know, like, he had me shoveling fertilizer for the last half hour, okay? Like, oh my goodness. Okay, so we got our messages crossed, but I am here, and I'll take this off because you don't need that. I want to welcome all of you to the Elam Village Health and Wellness Fair. This year, our theme is nurturing the garden within, not out there. So we're going to have a fun day. Our speakers, we're going to have Terry Small, who will be telling us how to nurture our brain garden, as well as our naturopath, Dr. Robin Land, who will join us to tell us how to keep our body moving, and our very own Marion Heemskirk, who will talk about nurturing our body as well. So we have a great day. We've got prizes. We have a lot of the displays that you see here. Our vendors have, or our contractors have come. They have their table set up, so if there is any questions that you have, they will answer them. And I think they even have some treats for you if you go to their table. So we all like treats, right? Yes. Okay, next, you will see in your bag a schedule. And so just to note, I won't go into the schedule, but if you go further down, we have a great concert with Ben Goheen and Corey Alstad. And I think on there it says it's the wrong spelling. So that's why I hate spell check. So sorry, Corey, if you're here already. We spelled your name wrong, but we want to correct that right away. What else do I have to tell you? It's very awkward to be up here dressed like this. I feel so dressed down here. I should introduce myself, okay? So my name is Jennifer Ledesma. I'm the Director of Care when these shenanigans. I'm the Director of Care at the Harrison and Harrison West. We call Full Care, and I have been the Director of Care for the past 11 years. Woo! Yeah! I love Elam. I've been a nurse for 33 years. I have been happily married for 36. I am very proud to have 3 daughters, and I am a very proud grandmother of a 2-year-old. So that's about me. And I'm just honored to be your MC today. I know I did MC a couple years ago, and I don't know why, but Clara asked me to come back. And so, no one can say no to Clara, so that's why I'm here today. I want to welcome everybody here. Do you know that there are 332 of you here today? Amazing. That just shows that these topics resonate with you, with all of you, and me too. So we have people, who's all here from Elam Fleetwood? Excellent, good. How about Elam Garrison? Yay! Okay, do we have any board members present? Any of our board members come? But they're probably going to come later on. And then, how about Elam staff? How many Elam staff? Yes! You'll never see me in this again, remember that. Okay, we're going to have an amazing day. So we've talked about most of the important things. Housekeeping, just make sure you did get those wristbands, so make sure you keep that on all day because that is how you're going to get your lunch, and it is going to be a delicious lunch. And also, we talked about exhibitors, and basically, that's it for me right now. Like, I cannot continue like this, obviously. So I'm going to change into something a little more appropriate, but while I'm away, before I go, I'm going to introduce the man who needs no introduction, our very own CEO, Ron Pike. There you go, Ron.
That's quite an outfit. I don't think I've ever seen Jennifer. Jennifer is one of the sharpest dressed people I know. In fact, she refers to herself not as a grandma, but a glamma. So if you ever refrain, she's the one proud Grinch, but she's a glamma, not a grandma. So I can hardly wait for her next outfit, as I'm sure you're all eagerly anticipating. I get the privilege today to thank some people. And I can remember back a number of years ago, almost when I started, which is like, I've been here like almost 17 years. It's like crazy. So back when I was good looking, I had hair and the hair was brown, you know, all those things. But I remember going down to the Emerald. One of the first things I did was organizing a hearing clinic. And Marion had talked about this. There was a guy, Ben, had come down, and we were going to go downstairs. And I had to set Ben up for this hearing clinic. And we went down and told him he was going to be in the country kitchen. And that was my introduction to Ben. And Ben works with Amplifon, and they're one of our sponsors today. Another one was when I was first starting out, I had to learn about this industry. Many of you know I coached volleyball before this, and what volleyball has to do with full care, I don't know. But I switched, and one of the things I thought I'd do was go visit one of our sister organizations, Menno Home, in Abbotsford. And I remember going through there, and they told me I had to meet this guy named Gannis. And so I met this guy named Gannis, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And Gannis was the pharmacist at Menno. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, one day your pharmacy is going to be at Elam. And he said, oh, yeah. And I went, yes, it will be. Sure enough, 15 years later, Gannis and Guinea now have their pharmacy here. And the Village Pharmacy is one of our sponsors here today as well. Yeah, they're amazing. Another quick story, and people who have been with Elam almost since the beginning, is Westland Insurance. And I saw Brenda here. Brenda, where are you? You in here? Brenda's back there. Hey, Brenda. And Westland has been such a valued partner with Elam over the years. And Westland does a lot of our independent living insurance, so many of you would have heard them through that. But Westland has done a tremendous amount of work with us, all the way from insuring our property, our buildings, but also our business continuity insurance, our director's insurance. We have all our insurance with them. And they've been fantastic supporters of Elam all those years, so I want to thank Westland Insurance as well. The thing I think I notice with this list when I see them is the partnerships that we've had over years are really loyal partners. And imagine being with groups for 15, 16, 10 years. Nowadays, those things aren't normal, but it is really great because of the people we have at Elam and the connections that we have. Some of the other groups that are here that have sponsored today, Wishbone Limited, they do our memory care, or our memory benches that you see around. the property. Bowers Medical, that does a lot of work in our full care. I think with Marion as well, right, in community life. Motion LP, Fontana Ponds and Water Features. So Fontana did our whole landscape here as well as the second pond over there. They've sponsored today. And two of our other longtime sponsors, Marquee, who we all know, and Marquee sponsored this, but I'll tell you something about Marquee. Marquee sponsors everything we do, which is a lot at Elam, right? They're always around donating and giving stuff, so we're very thankful for that partnership, as well as Scout Technology Group. And I think Scout has is it a prize today? An Apple Watch prize that Scout has given. So somebody's going to walk away with that, and don't worry, we won't track you on it or anything. You know? Won't know exactly where you are or what your heart rate is at any given moment. I also want to take a quick second to thank everybody who's put this on. It's amazing that that Elam Village has maintained this health and wellness fair at this size for so many years, and full credit to Clara, Marion, all the staff. I'm not going to mention everybody, but all the staff who work so hard to put this on, to bring the quality and caliber of speakers that we have. It's not easy to entertain Elam's. I'm just warning you, it's not easy to keep this group entertained, but I know they'll do a fantastic job today. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Clara. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And I think that this is the finest bunch of people, so absolutely no trouble at all, Dr. Robin. So we're just going to wait for Jennifer to come up. So I think the Community Life team, we should give away a few prizes. All right, good. So we'll get the basket. Let's pick a few things from the table. We're going to do the Apple Watch just after lunch, after Terry does his second session. And so here we go. All right, so we're going to run them to you, some of our staff and volunteers. When we call out people's names and they put their hand up, if you could run it to them, that would be great. Do you want me to do that? All right. Would you like to read the names, Hillary?
First up, we've got Alvin Klassen. Where's Alvin? All right. Can you raise your hand one more time? Oh, right there. There we go. Congratulations. Next, we've got Barb Davison. Where's Barb? There she is. Congratulations. Okay. All right, our next winner is Pat Giesbrick. Where's Pat? Oh, there we go, over there. And our next winner of our lovely box of Purdy's here, Margaret Jones. Where's Margaret? Oh, there she is. Oh, okay.
I just wanted to say that Globe Printers, that we do all of our printing with, has donated the Purdy's chocolates.
How many more would you like to do? Okay. All right, we've got a couple more here. We've got Betty Bartell. Yay! Congratulations, Betty. There we go. We see you. And next, we've got Marlene Holfeld. There, welcome. Congratulations. Okay, looks like we're doing another one. The prizes are just nonstop. Sharon Johnson. Where's Sharon? Sharon. Oh, there you go. Congratulations. Sure. Oh, here's a nice, lovely big basket from Vanessa, and this goes to George Van Beek. There's George. There you go. Enjoy. All right, and for our last one for now, we'll have more in a little while, Sandy how do I say this? Kolarczyk, there you go, and this one's from Motion.
Thank you so much, and I just want to thank Motion for that beautiful prize that's coming your way there, Sandy. And thank you to everyone who donated prizes, and we're going to do more later. So here comes Jennifer.
Okay, is this better? Is it better? Okay, I feel better about it too. Thank you. This is my inner self trying to grow. Okay, yeah, we'll just talk, I'll just talk a little bit about why, like the theme that we chose this year, Nurturing the Garden Within. And so it's just that continuous process we have of evolving our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, and just having quality of life throughout our life journey. And I'll just read something to you. The 4 pillars of active aging, according to the World Health Organization, is based on the optimization of key pillars: health, lifelong learning, participation, and security. So it's felt that by nurturing your inner garden, you create conditions for personal flourishing, resilience, well-being, and it's an ongoing journey of self-discovery, self-care that leads to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. And I think that's something we're all looking for. No matter what stage we are in life or what age we are, that's something that we all want to achieve. Isaiah 58, verse 11 says, "The Lord will guide you continually, giving you water when you are dry and restoring your strength. You will be like a well-watered garden, like an ever-flowing spring." Isn't that beautiful? Yes. So I would like to introduce our first guest. And we had the pleasure of having dinner yesterday, and I got to know him a little better, and he is really smart. Let me just read his bio here. So he is known as the Brain Guy. Terry Small is a master teacher and Canada's leading learning specialist. He has presented on the brain for over 33 years to organizations around the world, and believes that anyone can learn how to learn easier, better, faster, and that learning to learn is the most important skill a person can acquire. Let's give a warm welcome to Terry Small.
Thank you, Jennifer. Just, I guess in all of these moving of cables, we've had a little bit of a glitch here, so I am going to just do something really quick here. See if, in fact, I am the Brain Guy. Okay, so this should do it. And I'm going to get rid of this. And we're going to try that. No, that didn't do it. Not the Brain Guy yet. There we go. I think I should have a modest round of applause for that. Not too much, though. Okay, so thanks for your indulgence on that. It's wonderful to be back here again. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. Look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, "You look like a flower to me." So, how is the brain like a garden? Well, actually, it was really interesting because when Clara sent me that particular theme, I had a chance to think about it, and I thought, boy, there are a lot of similarities between the gardens that grow around these beautiful complexes that you live in here and up in Chilliwack, some of you in your homes, and actually how your brain works. So I love that verse that Jennifer quoted from Isaiah about watering, because ultimately, if you care for your garden, it will flourish. If you care for your brain, exactly the same way it will flourish. So your name is? That's right, you've got a good memory. I should have done this. I should have done this right from the beginning. How many people in the room have a brain? May I see your hand, please? All right, it's about 60% of you. Fair enough. We'll do the best we can here. So it's interesting, when I said how many people have a brain, I was sort of looking here, and you sort of look surprised that I would ask. And then you started chuckling to yourself. In real time, if you'd been hooked up to imaging technology, we would have seen this front part of your brain right here, this salmon-colored loaf called the prefrontal cortex, light up. Basically, only here, present. I mean, Ida, as fantastic as that little computer is, I mean, it does a lot of things better than you and I do, but it doesn't know it's here. When I said how many people have a brain, you started chuckling and laughing. That was your prefrontal cortex lighting up in real time saying, here, present. I'm going to teach you a few brain terms as we go along here. If you say something out loud, does memory go up or down? How much up? 400%. So this is called the prefrontal cortex. Why don't you say that out loud? One of the things, is how many of you are good at remembering names? How many of you are not so good at remembering names? I mean, it's okay not to be good at remembering names. It's not okay to stay that way. So if Jim comes along and he introduces himself, my habit is, do you know why you don't remember names? Because when they say their name, you hear your name. Pay attention to your attention. It's true. Pay attention to your attention. Be aware of your awareness. What you'll discover is you're hardly ever here. We spend almost all of our time futurizing and pasteurizing. Now, it's good to think about the past. It's good to think about the future, because in many ways, that's where we create wisdom. But stuff happens right now in the moment. What's happening in the moment is ultimately what determines what our brains will look like in the future. So my habit, just try this. This is why I love applied neuroscience. It's so practical. So if Jim comes up, as he did, and introduces himself, I don't say, Jim comes up and says, I'm Jim. I say, Jim, my name's Terry. Two really powerful things happened just then. What happened? I heard his name, because I had to pay attention. I used his name back to him. I said it out loud. Memory up 400%. So when you meet somebody and they say, I'm Ida. Hey, Ida, it's so great to meet you. I'm Terry. It sounds really natural, but you will have a way better chance of remembering that person's name. So we're going to have some fun here. We'll do a little bit of review from last year and a whole bunch of new stuff, and you got some amazing speakers coming up, and we stitched it all together for you. So I think I'm going to do this to start. Everybody in the room, if you're able, raise your hand as high as it'll go. Just get that hand up as high as it will go. All right, I am looking for a volunteer. Okay. All right. This is a very keen group. Actually, that was almost like 100%. And your name is? Barbara. Barbara, you'll do. Thank you for volunteering. So, Barbara, I was just not too long ago, I was in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I was keynoting the National Chartered Accountants Conference. And they gave me this deal. It was at the Golden Nugget Casino. It says Golden Nugget Casino on here. So I'm going to put my Biloxi Golden Nugget Casino. Biloxi is in southern Mississippi. So if the name sounds familiar, it's where Katrina first made landfall many years ago, and they had those devastating weather patterns. So Barbara, this is good. You're going to learn something really interesting about your brain right now that's going to help you stitch the entire day together. In fact, this may be the most important thing I have ever learned about my brain in my lifetime. So I'll do for people in the cheap seats back there, I'll do everything is almost always up there, but I'll do some color commentary so you'll know exactly what's going on. Barbara, do you play cards? You do play cards. This is good. What kind of cards do you play or have you played? Oh, rummy, poker, those are good brain games. You've got to pay attention. Good for building your attention density. Are you good at playing poker and rummy? Do you cheat? No. I do. Jim does too, so just be aware of that. A lot, actually. Do you have any favorite cards? It doesn't matter, because I've got some cards right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these cards out, and I want you to look at these cards, and you folks can shove your faces in and look too. So have a look at these cards. Barbie, did you see anything you like? Let's find out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the cards, Barbara, and whenever the spirit moves, you're going to say stop, and that'll be your card, all right? So have a look, and just say stop. Stop. You have to say stop before I finish. I know it's early in the morning, but let's just pick it up a little bit here. I've only got 45 minutes. Okay, so there's your card. Take it off the top. Now look at it. Flash it around. Let everybody have a look, Barbara, but don't let me see. So just make sure that a bunch of people have seen it. Doesn't have to be everybody. Now put it back on top. Don't let me see. Now, but very carefully. Are you good at paying attention? You look like you'd be good at paying attention. We're going to find out. So your card's right there. I'm going to put these right back on top. The card is now back somewhere in the middle there where you got it, yes or yes. Okay. What are the numerical odds that I could know what card was chosen? 1 in? Good odds or bad odds? Well, if you do the math and round it off, Marion, it's like 2%. Would you get on an airplane if there's only a 2% chance it was going to make it? Probably not. Dr. Dan Simons at the University of Illinois says that when we look out into an environment, right now you are looking into an environment, which happens to include me and Wendy here and some of the stuff up here, and you're in the dining room having a meal, you're looking into an environment, you're walking through the park, you're looking into an environment. Dr. Dan Simons from the University of Illinois says we don't see what's there. We see what we're looking for. If we're not looking for... How many of you believe learning is important? Yes or yes? Here is the best definition of learning you are ever going to hear in your life. For the most part, learning is connecting new information to what you already know. It's like Velcro onto Velcro. So this is why a day like today is so amazingly important, because this is going to put a lot of Velcro patches in your brain, and you're going to be able to see all kinds of things in the next 12 months that you can be doing for your brain that you might not have seen because you weren't looking for them. So Dan Simon says we see 2% of what is in our field of vision. Barbara, you open up the fridge. You're looking for peanut butter. Almost everything in the fridge except for peanut butter might as well be invisible. You find the peanut butter, you take it out. Barbara, were there any carrots in there? I don't know. We open them and they're bright orange. Why didn't you see them? Because you weren't looking for them. So for 2%, I am not going to do this, Barbara. What was the card? Yeah. Did you forget? We're going to do the memory. Marion's going to do the memory part in a moment, okay? Now, what's the card? The 2 of hearts. Is that correct? Yes. I knew that. Well, that's a skeptical look, huh? Whoa. Does she like that a lot? All right, well, you don't believe me. Is there anybody else who doesn't believe it was the 2 of hearts? You don't? Okay, here's how you know I really did know it was the 2 of hearts. The cards have been here the whole time. The card you chose, Barbara, the 2 of hearts, is sitting right on top of the deck. Where did you put it? In the middle. Do you know why it's on top of the deck? Because that's where I put it. I'm going to let all of you in on one of the greatest secrets of life. You will find things where you left them. Unless there's people around, who knows where it walked off to. So Barbara, now that you know what to look for, this should be easy because I'm going to do it again. And you're good at paying attention. I'm going to take the 2 and we're going to put it on top. Barbara, is it on top? For the record back there, Barbara just went, yes. This is good. You're making progress. All right, we're going to check. It's on top. I'm going to move cut the cards right here now. We'll cut them at the 3. The 2 is now going back into the middle. It's back in the middle, yes or yes? No. But here's the thing, Barbara. If you were as good at paying attention as you think you are, if your attention density was as good as you believe it to be, you would have seen that I actually put it on top, not into the middle. Now, I know what you're thinking. Look at you cackling away over here. You think there's more than 1 2 in the deck. Let's have a look at these cards. They're different. So Claire, today's Friday, right? Yes. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to... Many people begin to take on at this point in the week, on Friday, what we in the speaking business call the trout look. It's good that you laugh at the insults. You get a check in the, nice work, you get a check in the brain box. I'm going to do it one more time in slow motion. And if you think this is just a little card trick, this is your life. This is how we typically engage with the environment when we're on what Dr. Robert Cialdini calls the click-whir cycle of thinking. We get into routines, and there's nothing wrong with routines. They can speed things up, they can make things easier, but a healthy brain garden requires getting out of our routine and doing things often, sometimes very differently. Slow motion. We take the tube. Put it on top. Barbara won't even look at me. She won't take her eyes off these cards. Don't blink, Barbara. Stuff happens around here when you blink. So we're going to cut the cards here at the 8. Going to bring it around. What do you think, Clara? Is it still there? Let's have a look. Oh, look, it's still there. Yeah? Now, don't do a face plant now. We're going to put it right here. I'm going to drop these on top. It's now back in the middle, yes or yes? Yes. But here's the thing. If you were actually paying attention, if you actually knew what to look for, you would have seen it's now on top, not into the middle. Now, Barbara, I could do this 1,000 times, and you would never see what... This has nothing to do with your intelligence. In fact, you're one of the more intelligent-looking people I've seen in a long time. But it has everything to do with your awareness. That's what a day like today is so important. At the end of the session, at the end of the day, you're going to have all kinds of things now, Velcro patches in your brain, things that you can do for your brain that maybe you haven't been doing because you have not been looking for them. Let's have a round of applause for Barbara. You can imagine, Barbara, how happy they were to see me at the blackjack table in the casino. I lasted about 5 minutes and they said, get out of here. All right. It's good to hear you laughing. It's good to hear you laughing. So today is really about health span. It's about health span. We want our health span to match our lifespan. And that's not easy, because sometimes, as the walls crowd in and the items start to stack up, it becomes easy to kind of get caught in routines and we can get discouraged. So Marion, I love this tree. This is my favorite tree on the planet. Apparently it fell over 5 years ago and it never gave up. Having a healthy brain garden, in many ways, is the cornerstone, the key building block of resilience. Now, it used to be that, we had to kind of guess what was going on inside your brain. Bob, did we end up getting the lights down a little bit up here? We were going to just dim these two. We got them down. Okay, thank you very much. Round of applause for Bob over there and the tech people, because they were just running around like crazy troubleshooting this morning. Just amazing. So what's happening here, Jim, is you'll know this by being a former educator. A lot of the guesswork now is taken out of it because we can actually look inside your brain, Ida, in real time. What does your brain look like when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're eating a sandwich, listening to different kinds of music? And this is where a lot of this information is coming from. So you've got brain cells. What are the brain cells called? Neurons. They're called neurons. Why don't you all say it out loud? Neurons? Neurons. Now, how many neurons do you think you have? Which is kind of a nice way of saying you have no idea. That's actually the correct answer. They can't actually count them. They think there's about 100 billion. 25,000 brain cells can fit on the head of a pin without touching each other. Marion, you have no idea how big 100 billion is. I know you're smart. You could write it out, put the commas in. But if you counted all of your brain cells, all 100 billion, 1 per second, never took a break, you should try this, actually. That'll tire up for a while, right? How many years would it take to count to 100 billion at 1 per second if you never took a break? Just over 3,200 years. But wait, there's more. Every brain cell can put out 10,000 connections or branches to connect with other brain cells. Take 100 billion, Marion, and compound it by 10,000. What would that number look like? A 12-point font 1 with zeros stretching all the way to downtown Toronto from where you're sitting. Now that is for all intents and purposes, an infinite number of connections that your brain can make. Do you see how this is starting to sound like a garden? With all the things that happen in gardens, and you can get weeds in there and flowers and the roots, and things expand and the roots go down, the leaves go up and the shoots go this way. There's a design to our brains that in many ways mirrors, our created environment. So this is what your brain looks like, Ida, when you're going through the day. Barbara, did you have a brain yesterday? It is not here today. No, it's gone. Do you have a brain right now? And it's a darn good brain, and I'm never wrong. But it won't be here in 5 minutes. Why not? Because it's always changing. One of the greatest discoveries ever about the human brain. This is, I don't know about you, but this is exciting. This is your brain garden in action. So what does this mean? Well, it means brains ultimately get good at what they do. How many of you know people who are really good at complaining? They weren't born that way. They didn't come along and the doctor said, we'll make this one a complainer. Wow. No, a person becomes a world-class complainer by complaining. And you know what's coming. Once a brain wires for world-class complaining, that brain gets really good at seeing things to complain about everywhere. On the other hand, how many of you people who are I have no idea. Every time I talk to Ida, I end up being in a good mood. She always seems happy to see me. She laughs at my dumb jokes. She listens to me. She is an encourager. How many of you people who are like that? They're just happy and they just have a wonderful, they're elegant, they're gracious, they're encouraging, they're filled with gratitude. How many of you know people like that? Look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, that's probably me. So, this really is what neuroplasticity is all about. I'm having a peek here at the schedule here, Clara, to see where did we, so I'm supposed to, I think I get an extra few minutes because we're a bit late. Okay, all right. So we're going to have fun talking about the brain in here, and that's, again, the beautiful thing about this day is you're going to start to see all kinds of things. Like I read recently, for example, I'll give you an example of two examples from what I'm talking about. I read recently that what's a stroke? It's a heart attack for the brain. That's generally something we probably would like to avoid. So I read recently that eating one piece of white flesh fruit a day cuts stroke risk in half. Like, how cool is that? I'm not aware of any medication that even comes close to those numbers. But I have gotten out of the habit of eating what's a white flesh fruit? Pear, apple, banana, maybe grapefruit, make an argument for a peach. But I'd gotten out of the habit of eating white flesh fruit. So as soon as I read that, I started seeing white flesh fruit everywhere in the grocery store, sitting on hotel counters and things like that. And I started, eating that stuff. But the key here is nothing you learn today will have any value whatsoever unless you do it. Look at your partner, look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, you're a genius. Now, why are you laughing? Remember what I said? Remember what I said about learning is connecting new information to what you already know? Incoming information from the environment. Your partner looked at you and said, you're a genius. Your brain had a quick look inside and it pulled up a photograph of Albert Einstein. And then the little voice inside your head said, well, I'm no Albert Einstein. William James, the founder of psychology, said genius is the art. Love that he used the word art. He said genius is the art of non-habitual thinking. So what does that mean? It means genius is a choice. You may have noticed that your brain always thinks first in pictures. Everybody close your eyes, please. Close your eyes. Think of an apple. Open your eyes. What color is the apple? Notice you didn't see the letters A-P-P-L-E floating nowhere in space, Wendy. You saw an apple. It was right back here in this part of your brain right here, this green patch back here called the occipital lobe. Why don't you say that out loud? Occipital lobe. Metaphorically, we call that the mind's eye. It's the big picture screen of the brain. And that's why a day like today is so important, because it changes your mind's eye. When you're with a positive, happy person like Ida, it changes your mind's eye. When you read scripture, it changes your mind's eye. It changes the Velcro patches. So different things from the environment connect. A complainer walks into a room and sees 10 things immediately to complain about. Somebody else walks in and sees 10 things to be grateful for. That's how brain gardens actually work. I'm going to give you a really good example here. So, how many of you are good at paying attention? Can I see your hand, please? All right, we're gonna find out. Barbara's sitting there thinking, I'm not putting my hand up again, forget it. I know there's some math involved here, Jim, so you got to pay attention, all right? I'm going to do a little test here just to see if you can count how many times a basketball moves around, okay? So have a look here. Hopefully the sound is
This is an awareness test.
Just bring it up a bit, guys, thanks.
How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Uh-oh. Check it out right here. Now, I probably don't need to ask, but Clara, just for the record, we should get this in the minutes. Did anybody in the room miss the moonwalking bear? And Robin, you're the next speaker. Me too, I missed it the first time. How is it possible to miss a moonwalking bear, Barbara, that goes right through your field of vision because like the carrots, you weren't looking for them? Which is better? I'll give you another example. Which is better for your brain, stairs or elevator? So I'm in a hotel lobby and I'm counting people coming and going. There's 50 people. How many do you think used the stairs? Zero. Zero. But they didn't see the stairs and they were right beside the elevator doors. Heck, Robin, you can't see a moonwalking bear. How are you going to see the... Because our brains are busy, and so we want to kind of change that mind's eye focus a little bit. So Robin's going to talk about, how movement is. I mean, you know this better than me, Robin. Movement is the new rock star of neuroscience now. It's just any little movement, even just moving your fingers. Your brain is designed to thrive as it's connected to movement. So whatever your current situation is, like I hurt my knee playing tennis recently, so I'm not moving as much as I would normally do, but I do what I can. And that's, I think, what we can all do is that. And Marion's going to talk about stuff and ideas to nurture your brain garden. And these are all patches in our brain that we're going to be able to connect ideas to the environment and just keep our brains sharp and healthy. Because whatever in our mind's eye is a big deal. We don't see what's there. Remember, brains are wired. Remember this, Barbara, if you remember nothing else. Your brain is wired to see what is essential, not what is real. Reality does exist. I mean, if I drop this clicker on Jim's head, it will make a noise. You look like you want me to do it. We won't. The reason it'll make a noise is Jim's head is real, the clicker is real. When the two meet, we're going to hear There was a big study done recently, Jim, that determined the #1 cause of stress is reality. So it's good that our brains don't care much about it because apparently it's quite stressful when we actually notice it. So let's make brain health part of our reality. Healthy aging. Aren't those bags amazing? Round of applause for the bags. Yes. Amazing, amazing. Let's make healthy aging and keeping our brain garden sharp and flourishing, part of our ongoing mind's eye focus. Here's the thing, Jim, you don't even know you're breathing right now until I point it out. And then Jim goes, oh my gosh, how about that? I'm breathing. But you think about it, Jim. It's your brain that keeps you breathing. You have connections in your brain that run your respiratory system. If those connections were damaged, you would have trouble breathing. But the thing is, Jim, you've been breathing since the moment you were born. These are some of the strongest, most myelinated connections in your brain. They even function when you sleep. Aren't you glad? So, eventually now it's just what you do. You don't even have to think about it. The complainer, they don't even know they're complaining. It's just what they do. It's who they've become. A person who's grateful, they don't know they're grateful. It's just who they have now become. So all of this stuff that you're doing today, you'll have to work at it until you don't. It'll be difficult to remember until it isn't. And then eventually it'll just become part of who you are and what you do. That is sort of the beauty of neuroplasticity. I mean, Isaac Asimov, one of the greatest thinkers to have ever lived, said, we become what we pay attention to. Your name is? You look like you'd be good at seeing patterns. Fast as you can, across the rows, is that a Chihuahua or a blueberry muffin? Let's just stop it. Stop it. That's what happens during the pandemic when people don't have anything to do, quite frankly. All right. So, I want you to remember this term. Rebecca, stop. Remember this term. Write it down. Patternicity. How good is your brain at seeing patterns? That, by the way, is one of the beautiful things about the age that you are now, is you've developed crystallized intelligence as a result of having put in so many miles, right? I mean, we've all put in a lot of miles, and, you know, some of the roads weren't paved. But that's a good thing because our brains get good at seeing patterns. So today, you're going to develop a pattern. There's a pattern to brain health. It doesn't just happen accidentally. It happens as a result of intentionality. Eventually, you're going to be one of those 95-year-olds that teenagers like to hang out with because you're cool. We all know people like that, and it's a result of ongoing intentionality and doing whatever we can with whatever situation we're in, keeping positive, being grateful, because our brain is literally involved in everything we do, literally everything we do. And most people never really think about their brains. Look at your partner, point at that person, and say, you're a genius. Remember, it's got nothing to do with Albert Einstein. It's got everything to do with being green and growing, not ripe and rotting. Look at the person beside you, point at that person, and say, you look pretty green to me. Hey, speaking of Albert Einstein, when Miriam Diamond, when Dr. Diamond at UCLA dissected Albert Einstein's brain, she talks about this in her book, her amazing book called Possessing Genius. When she did the neuroautopsy on Albert Einstein, what did she find? One of the interesting things was his brain was a lot smaller than most people's. Albert Einstein probably had a brain that was a lot smaller than most people. But it was different in one key regard. It had many more connections between the brain cells than most people. Why? Because of engagement. He'd been an avid, curious, lifelong learner. Jennifer talked about one of the pillars being lifelong learning. It is so important to just keep learning, keep talking to people, keep having conversations, stay engaged. Get up in the morning and have a reason to get up. Have a purpose. Stay connected to people around you. Stay connected to family, to grandchildren, because people need you. There are people relying on you. So Albert Einstein's brain was different in that regard, as there was just way more connections. It identified with connections. Look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, you look pretty dense to me. See, I think when you're wandering around, the campus here, and every now and then, if you see Jim, say, hey, Jim, you're looking pretty dense today. he'll have a big smile and start chuckling because he knows that that's like a real solid compliment. So be a reader, be a learner, be curious, never stop being interested in what's going on around you. Leonardo said, learning never ever exhausts the mind. This is what a brain cell, this is an illustration of a brain cell that's on learning, that's on engagement. And this happens at any age in life. So I want you to finish this statement for me. You've all heard this before, yes? Use it? Not anymore. At the various Elam campuses, it's now going to be use it and get more of it. Hey, Bob, in case you missed the memo last week, here's the official winner of the Not My Job contest. That's not what we're going for here, folks. Brains are meant to get into things. So you're going to hear Robin talk about how important moving is. I might do a little bit of just how movement affects the brain, and she's going to build on that, and also talk about just how to make sure that we can keep moving and things we need to do to kind of maintain our ability to move. And so you may not always feel like, hey, I really feel like sitting in this chair, but then maybe it's just time to go for a 2-minute walk around the building or around the grounds, even though we don't maybe necessarily feel like it. Grab an umbrella if you can, and off you go. So we're going to have some fun today looking at this brain. Remember, your brain is always going one way or the other. On the road to success, there are no shortcuts. My favorite part of this, on the back it says, our most valuable resort sits 63 feet ahead. I think they just climbed out of the cab, actually. Look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, genius. Genius. So remember, you get one brain. If you ruin a car, you can get a new car, but with a brain, we get one shot at this. Now, the brain's pretty resilient. Some of the more interesting technologies, I think I put this slide up last year, is just SPECT imaging. Shows how our brain can be healthy or not healthy. You see beautiful, gorgeous, full spectrum brain, 4 views on the left. On the other side, we see a brain that is struggling. So my question is, which brain do you want? Never mind that. Here's a better question. Which direction is your brain going right now? Because this is a very dynamic process. Everything we do affects our brains. Every conversation, everything we read, every thought, every scripture verse we read, every meeting we attend, every meal we have, even when we sleep, what we dream about affects and changes our brain. When we flip this into fMRI technology, we see the healthy brain mirrored with the brain that is struggling. So Daniel Amen, you see him on PBS all the time. What do we know about success, Bob? Success leaves clues, right? If you want to be a better golfer, golf with people that have a lower handicap. Watch how they approach the game. That'll help you become a better golfer. If you know somebody who is really good at relationships, everybody likes a certain just kind of study them because they'll drop clues for we can get better. So the Dr. Amen and his team said, yeah, success leaves clues. So let's find these really healthy, gorgeous, full spectrum brains, and we'll follow them around. We'll talk to them, we'll interview them. What do they do? What do they think? What do they eat? How do they live their lives? They'll leave clues for the rest of us. So they did 3,000 scans. No forewarning. Because, Marion, if you knew your brain was going to be scanned in 3 weeks, you would smarten up. I would smarten up. Marion and I would both smarten up. We'd change a few. We're not going to tell you what they are, but we'd change a few things. But the whole point was no forewarning, just in the tube, gotcha. 3,000 random scans. How many of those beautiful, gorgeous, full spectrum brains do you think they found? Call out your guess. 7. So you could be one of those people. I mean, it's possible. Jim, there's a test for this. Do you want to take it? To see if you're one of the 7? We'll do it for everybody. Everybody in the room, big loud voice, I want you to read this next slide out loud. What does that say? No, I am now here. Really? I am nowhere. We got some work to do here today, folks. I mean, you're both laughing, but you're up next, so just try to make my end of the day job easier, would you please? All right. Oh, it's good to hear you laugh. It's good to hear you laugh. And it's good that you have an interest in the brain. Because in many ways, your brain is very much like a garden. I want to reintroduce you to something that I started. I just kind of nibbled at this last year, but I've got a little longer this year to maybe kind of drill down more deeply on it with practical ideas. So your brain thinks in pictures first. Remember when I said think of an apple? Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes, please. Think of a horse. Open your eyes. How many saw an image of a horse? So for the first time in your life, maybe you realize your brain thinks in pictures first, and then the words come. But the picture drives the words. I know very few things for sure, but I know this for sure. Everybody in this room, including me, came into the room and our brain has a picture of itself. What it's good at, what it's not good at, what will work, what won't work. Nothing changes until the picture changes. And that's what today is really about. It's about changing the way we look at our brains. We see our brain as a garden. If you neglect a garden, what happens? Yeah, exactly. Jennifer read that wonderful verse from Isaiah about water. I don't think that's an accident that that's in the Bible. If you don't water plants, what happens to them? Exactly. I think it's the same with our brains. It's actually, when it comes to water, by the way, it's actually very congruent. Water is vital for brain health, and we may say a little bit about that as time permits. So the brain thinks in pictures, and then the words come. This is why you will never walk down the street and go up to somebody and say, I remember your name, but I forget your face. Never. It's always, I remember the face, but we forget the name, because those pictures, the pictures are powerful. Yes or yes? That's what this day is about. It's about changing the pictures that we all have of our brains and what they might be capable of going forward. So, pictures are powerful. Speaking of which, look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, you're probably the best looking thing I've seen all day. And I'm sure I'll be getting a note from Lynn and HR on that one, but anyway, try and find me, that's all I can say. So, to help you kind of remember that the picture of brain health, I want you to spread your hand like this. Okay, spread your hand out like that. We're going to call this your handful of health and happiness. So, this is your handful of health and happiness, and there's 5 parts to our pattern, and I based on my conversations last night with the other speakers, I'm pretty sure that pretty much everything they say will fit into one of these 5 categories. And if they don't, I don't know, just grow another finger. Okay, it shouldn't be that hard to do. All right, so we want to think smart. For a healthy brain, we want to think smart. Thinking, there's a physical component to thinking. Thinking is actually what changes our brains. We want to eat smart. Your brain is the fattiest, rich part of your body. This is the fat we don't want to lose. It needs to be protected. I'm not too worried about the fat that's around my stomach. This is the important stuff. Look at your person beside you, point at that person and say, you look like a fathead to me. This is good. We want to move smart. And this is where, Rob is going to have some pretty interesting things to say about just an airplane, if it's kept on the tarmac, will very quickly become unsafe to fly. It's meant to be in the sky, moving, flying. That's what it was built for. Bodies were built to move. It's the same thing. A house that is left empty will eventually become derelict and will become uninhabitable. It's meant to be lived in. We also want to be able to be people smart. The people we spend time with matter. They matter, and we'll say a bit more about that later. We also want to be sleep smart, and I may get that far today, probably not. We might even try that for another time. So I want to do a very quick zip through the Think Smart, and then I'm going to stop my session, and then there'll be, Clara will come up and give you some directions around the break, and then I'll come back, and based on what I hear the other speakers say, I will select which one of those I want to do for my closing. All right? Look at the person beside you, nod, smile, look excited, and say 4 minutes to go. All right, but not too excited. All right. So very quickly then, if we take the first letter of each of those and we turn them red, we extract them, we get temps. So all you have to do, Jim, every now and then is just spread your hand, remember temps, and then just do a quick little inventory of each of these 5 things and go, okay, how am I doing in these 5 areas? Do I need to make any changes in what I'm doing and so forth? So very quickly, when I was here last year, we talked, some stress is good for the brain, but we don't want to be living everything every day like that. It's so easy to go on overload. So last time I said, whatever you do, make sure you get outside. Go outside. Every chance you get. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? I mean, if that doesn't happen, it's all good. Do you know that, so Marion, you were saying, you know, sometimes you take your groups for walks in the adjacent parks in the community. Do you know that when you are out, as soon as you come back from being in an outdoor space, you are 30% more creative just by being outdoors. I took this picture for you in South Surrey. I'm just amazed at how much better I feel when I'm out and about. Now, you also have a program of recreational stuff that goes on in here. It's important for a healthy brain to play. You got to have fun, right? I mean, honestly, I think there's a real correlation between people who don't play and people who complain. Somebody said once, I think it was Abraham Lincoln, he said, we don't stop playing because we get old because we stop playing, and he might be right. When I was here before, too, we talked about gratitude. Get a little gratitude book. Just write down one simple thing that you're grateful for every day. It'll change your life. It changed my life. One thing. I'm grateful for the butterfly that I saw in the garden today. Boom, you're done for the day. I'm grateful I didn't break my leg yesterday. You're done for the day. Now, you're laughing, but honestly, I have learned, this gratitude log taught me to be grateful for things that didn't happen. I have learned negative space is hard to see. My wife is a designer, and she says that empty space in a room is more important than the furniture and what's there. It's the empty space that makes a room special. And so I've learned to be grateful for things I didn't get. My house didn't burn down yesterday because somewhere in the world somebody's did. And so these are things we can do for our brains. Go back and review the pages every now and then. You will literally be wiring your brain to be more grateful. Look at the things that happen when you practice gratitude. Your well-being increases 10%. That's like double income. 16% less physical symptoms. 19% more time moving, Robin. 10% less physical pain. 8% more sleep. 25% better sleep. Less depression. More energy, vitality. Blood pressure drops, we live longer, and we like being around you. How many of you enjoy being around grumps? Yeah, not so. This is a prescription I think worth filling every single day. When I was here before too, I talked about how Baroque music is magical for the brain. Whenever I feel like I just need a lift, I put on a little bit of Baroque music. Baroque music has a direct impact on our brain garden. It pushes our brain into alpha state. It's like fertilizing you fertilize your garden, it grows. Baroque music is a literal brain fertilizer. It helps us maintain balance in life. Thinking Smart, best book I've ever read is You Are Not Your Brain by Jeffrey Schwartz. It is amazing, just an amazing book. Look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, you're a genius. Now, you're going to take a picture there over there, so I'm going to put that back up so you can get your picture. And Barbara, do you play cards? Brains see what they are looking for. So what's going to happen is, I think, Clara, you're coming up? Or somebody's coming up. Jennifer's coming up. Somebody's going to come up. And they're going to give you a little bit of direction. You're going to have a break. There's going to be some amazing speakers coming up. Lots of ideas. I'm going to listen to these speakers as well, and then I will select I mean, honestly, I've got like 100 hours of material on my computer, but I will select what I think will complement what Robin says and Marion and what Jennifer, because I mean, I don't, if you were listening to Jennifer, you could have picked up 10 really clear, practical things to do immediately. Look at the person beside you, point at that person and say, you're still a genius. Okay, I guess that's my 45. I'd like to keep going, but I need to stop. When we're finished, I've got a table out at the back, so I'll be there. So if you want to chat with me, tell me stories, if you have any complaints, I will be out. Oh, actually, no, Clara, the deadline for complaints was yesterday, right? Yeah, that's it. So that's it. You're too late on that. But I'll be at my table.
Thank you. Terry, I have a question, though. I have a question. So you were saying something about when the volume is up, your memory is better? When you said when it's loud, you said something to do with volume. When the volume is higher, your memory is better.
Did I say that?
Something out loud?
I don't think I did. I don't think I did say that. But actually, now that you bring it up, that is true. When volume comes up, it does create a stronger neural imprint in your brain to a point. Oh. If you start to sound like a lawnmower, not so much. But that's true. If you do bring the volume up a little bit, this is why, by the way, just that is a really smart point, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that is so important when we get, on the south side of whatever age, it's really good to have hearing checks and so forth. And I know it's not always convenient to have hearing aids and things, but if hearing starts to go and volumes or perceived volume starts to come down, that could have a real effect on the brain and actually lead to sort of dementia stuff. So, keep in your environment. Try to keep the volume comfortable where you can hear.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because, when my husband is watching football and we turn up the volume, he turns it up really loud, but he forgets to cut the grass, to take out the garbage, and to empty the kitty litter. So how is that?
Just nervous laughter from the men in the room.
Anyway, so we are on a break right now, a stretch break, and we are going to be, we're going to call Yusuf and Luke to come up. They are our PT and our rehab assistant from Maple Leaf. Physio, come on up.
Hi everyone, my name is Yusuf. I'm a physiotherapist, and this is Luke. He's our rehab assistant, and we also have part of our team who's not here today, Benit, who's our occupational therapist. So the three of us, we provide the rehab services at Elam Village in Fleetwood, on the Harrison West, and then also the independent and assisted living as well. So what we do is, Luke does a lot of the one-on-one exercises. I help him with that as well, and I do the assessments. And then I also get referrals from the nurses to come take a look at people's mobilities. If there's people that need that have pain, and I might do some exercises with them or manual therapy. And then Benit takes care of, who's the occupational therapist, takes care of a lot of the equipment needs. Yeah, so what I want to do today is I want to just do kind of a quick stretch break and a few exercises with you guys. And then so how we can start off is we can just start off by taking some deep breath. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Yeah, 2 or 3 is enough before we hyperventilate, so that's good. Yeah, good. And then, so the next thing I want you to do, we're just going to kind of move our neck down and up. Just kind of do what you can, do what's within your ability. And if there's any pain, then you can skip this one. So down, up, down, up, down and up. Good. And the next one I want you to do is just kind of look side to side. You can hold it here for a couple seconds and then kind of go the other way. Hold it there for a couple seconds. You can also use your hands and onto your opposite shoulder, and you can give yourself a bit of a stretch into your upper fibers of traps. And yeah, good. We'll do a couple more of that. Good. Okay, and the next thing I want you to do, if we can just put our hands behind your back if you're able, if it's not causing you too much pain. And we're just going to, bring your shoulders back, bring your back, and just do a couple stretches there. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the last one. 6. Good. And then next exercise we can do, we're just going to bring your hand over your shoulder, and then the other hand, kind of like this. And the other hand is on your back. Yeah. It's not easy with the mic. And then switch hands. Good. And then the next exercise, we're just gonna kind of just give our wrists a shake, and then give your fingers a shake. Good. And then the next exercise we want to do, just gonna bring your wrist and give it a stretch. Good. And then what we can do, we can start to do some rotations for your trunk. Good. Try to go into the same direction so you don't hit your neighbor. Good. 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 Yes. Yes, try to go to the same direction. Yeah, everyone go this way. Everyone go this way. And then that way. Good. And then arms down. Good. And then we want to, if you want to stand, you can stand. If you want to sit, you can sit. We're just going to do some marching on the spot. We're going to do a few marches. Good. Good. And then, good. Just give yourself a stretch. And then, last exercise, we're going to just bring your heels up and then bring your toes up. You can hold on if you need to, or if you can sit down, you can do that as well. So we're just going to do a couple times of that. And then, so yeah, we've gone through our neck, we've moved to our shoulders, and then we've moved into our legs. So yeah, I'll leave you guys with that for now. If you have any more questions on any exercise or anything we can do, you can drop by our table, or you can search us on Maple Leaf Rehab on Google, and our phone number will be there. So you can contact us, and then I'll be happy to have a chat with you. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we're going to take a break, and but stay in your seats because we have some great snacks that are coming to you. So these are protein balls, I think they're called, protein balls, and these were made by our very own Marquis. They are not gluten-free, and there are nuts. But for those of you who are gluten-free, at lunchtime there will be gluten-free options. This particular one is not gluten-free. Enjoy. And we'll come back at 11 o'clock for Dr. Robin Land. Thank you. All right, ahead? Okay.
Can everyone please grab their seats again? We will be starting very shortly.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah? Hi. Hi, everyone. Can we take our seats so we can get started with our next speaker? How were those snacks? They were delicious. Thank you, Marquis. Thank you for making those. I think that's a specialty of one of our chefs there. He's very good. All right. Just have a few more people coming in. Well, our next speaker. Before I get to the next speaker, here's an interesting tidbit here. Did you know that research shows that sitting too long is as bad on your health as smoking? My goodness. I guess I smoke a pack a day then. I got to get moving. Yeah, I like what Terry said, just going around maybe the campus at lunchtime. So when I do that, you all remember who I am and wave at me so that that will encourage me to keep walking, because I don't want to be smoking. Anyway, movement, another tidbit is movement is directly linked to longevity, happiness, and overall health. So let's join Dr. Robin Land, a naturopathic physician, for this educational and empowering talk on ways to support your bones, your joints, and muscles, and to keep moving and grooving for the years to come. Dr. Robin Land.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been amazing spending the morning here, and I got to have dinner with some of the staff last night, and I'm just absolutely blown away at what an amazing community and what a warm welcome I've already received. So thank you so much for that. A little bit about me before I go into the presentation here. I'm a board-certified naturopathic doctor here in BC, and where I like to pull out that big term is naturopathic medicine. How many people have seen a naturopathic doctor before? Oh, a good amount of you. Wonderful. Yeah. Go a little slower. We're kind of on this cusp, especially with so much challenge having family doctors these days. A lot of people are looking at, okay, who can I create as my healthcare team around us? And naturopathic medicine really has a role in that, I believe. Here in BC, we're a very highly regulated profession. We actually have to take a 4-year pre-med program and then a 4-year medical school program and write provincial level boards, and that gives us this designation of doctor. Some of the other provinces out there, you could still take a 10-week online course and call yourselves a naturopath. But here we are naturopathic physicians or naturopathic doctors, and I think that's really important to share with the public so that if you are going out there, your family members are going out there to look for a naturopathic doctor, do look for one that calls themselves doctor, because you'll know that they do have that training. Under the Provincial Healthcare Act, we're considered primary care physicians, which is what our family doctors are. But the big difference is our family doctors, their whole mandate in treating is to treat your symptoms, which absolutely there's a time and place for. As naturopathic doctors, we really follow the mandate of treating the root cause and treating the whole person. And I like to think of myself kind of as how maybe a medical doctor was about 100 years ago, doing house calls, really getting to know people. I spend an hour at my initial visits with each and every one of my patients, and my favorite part of being a doctor is listening to people's stories. And it's hearing their stories and their background and their experiences that really give me the puzzle pieces to bring together their health and try and give ideas for really optimizing. So my goal in the talk today is to try and give you some little tidbits that you can take out into your life to hopefully optimize as well. I'm the founder and co-owner of a large integrative clinic in East Vancouver, and I've actually just recently moved up to Powell River on the Sunshine Coast, so I'm doing the back and forth thing way up there. I've also been a yoga teacher for about 23 years now, and really focus on alignment and bringing anatomy knowledge to yoga teachers and teaching that. So I've written a book all about the evidence-based yoga and really bringing that movement piece into things. And then lastly, I'm a mama to this little one, Hazel Grace, who's now 5. She's in her first few weeks of kindergarten, so that has been a whole brain evolution in itself on many different levels for our whole family. So today I'm going to speak about movement, as you've heard, and Terry introduced me so lovely about that. But really, all of us as physicians, and you may have heard this from your doctor or your physiotherapist, to say, oh, well, I just want you to move. I want you to do this exercise, or I want you to do 20 minutes of exercise a day. And it's great to say that, but if we have low motivation and if there's other things going on, it's really, really hard to execute on that. And then if we don't feel like, oh, I'm not doing what my doctor said, then that's not exactly motivating moving forwards. So I was trying to think, why don't we, get out and do exercise? And the first thing is we live on the wet coast, and a day like this is a perfect example with all the rain as you guys came in this morning. It's probably not super inspiring to I'm going to get on all my rain gear and go for a walk for 20 minutes. And if you do, good on you. That's wonderful. The other piece, and this is a big piece of what I'm going to speak about today, is sometimes we're lacking some key nutrients in our bodies that help us to feel the energy and the motivation to move, or that help us to feel good after we do these things. Because it's one thing to go out for a walk or do some exercise. It's another thing to wake up the next morning and be like, oh, I don't know if I can roll out of bed after that exercise. And then lastly, just a little side note is that there's been studies now on neuroplasticity and neuroevolution showing that the reward circuits in our brain, so there's a big neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is our reward center. It's like the gold star that our brain gives us. Those circuits actually change as we get older. And when we look at movement, when we're younger, we're actually getting a greater dopamine release for doing more and higher intensity movements. So if we go out for a walk one day, that younger brain is going to be like, let's go for a run, or let's go jump on this big rock, and we're going to feel really good about it. As an older person, the reward comes from slow and steady. And that's what keeps us doing these activities that maybe have a slightly lower exertional output for them. And that's okay because we're still moving. So it's picking the exercise or the movement that feels good in your body, that gives you that dopamine feedback. So you've probably all heard this statement. I was looking up who said that, and Google tells me that there's many people over the years that said that, but the first recording of it was way back in 1826. You are what you eat. And this is such a foundation of naturopathic medicine and holistic health. I mean, what we eat is our first medicine. Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So there's 3 main deficiencies that I'd like to speak to you about. I could speak for days about all these topics, but I decided to pick the 3 that I think would have the most impact on people. And the first one is vitamin B12. So vitamin B12 is a water-soluble vitamin, means we take it in, our body uses it, and then we pee it out. It's very important to keep our blood and our nerve cells healthy. So when we talk about an anemia, or being anemic, most of us relate that with being iron deficient. But we can also have a B12 deficiency as well that can have quite a big impact on us. The population in general that tends to be quite deficient in B12 is those that are having more of a plant-based or a vegetarian diet. And really the only place that they may be getting some B12 in on a regular basis is nutritional yeast. Has anyone tried nutritional yeast before? It's kind of cheesy tasting. It's actually quite good. It doesn't sound that great, but it's good. But interestingly, you have to have about a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast every day to get the right amount of B12. And while it's good, it might not be that good. For those of us that do eat meat, we get our B12 from our meat, from our seafood, from more of that based diet. However, 2 things can really impact that absorption, or one main thing I should say, is that we may not be able to absorb the B12 through our stomach. So most of our nutrients are actually absorbed at the level of our small and large intestine. B12 is actually absorbed directly in our stomach. And to absorb that, we need to have really strong stomach acid. So that strong stomach acid creates the release of something called intrinsic factor. And intrinsic factor in my mind, because everything is that picture in the mind, like Terry spoke about, intrinsic factor is like these little hands that reach up into our food and go, oh, there's that B12, and they pull it into the body, and then it goes out into our blood system. If we have lower stomach acid levels, then we don't get that release of the intrinsic factor. So the B12 can be there in our diet, but we may not actually absorb it. So where do we see lower stomach acid levels? We see it as we age. It just naturally happens that we don't produce as much, as strong of stomach acid. Another factor lifestyle-wise that affects that is if we're eating really quickly, then we don't get the signaling from our brain to our stomach that says, okay, we're about to sit down and have this delicious dinner. So one lifestyle thing that we can do is before sitting down, saying prayers, lighting a candle, taking a moment to be like, this looks like the most delicious peanut butter jelly sandwich ever. And it seems so silly, but that is sending messaging down to the stomach that says, hey, we're about to eat. Let's produce some of that stomach acid. And then lastly, if anyone's on any sort of proton pump inhibitor or acid blocker for their stomach, that inherently does decrease your ability to absorb B12. And to the point that for those that are on it long term, medical doctors should be telling you to take a B12 supplement with it, or even to come in for a B12 injection. you can easily have your B12 levels checked. It's just another lab test, so if you go in for a blood lab, you can easily ask your medical doctor to check this out. And it's a great one to look at because deficiencies can be sneaky. They can just look like age-related things. They can be like, oh, I'm more tired. I'm a little bit forgetful. I'm not quite as sharp as I could be. If that B12 level deficiency is quite advanced, then we can start to get numbness and tingling in our hands and our feet. So this is where really quick assessment of it through blood labs can tell you, okay, do we need to supplement? If you are going to supplement, I would highly suggest looking at a sublingual or a little lozenge of it. A, because it tastes great, and B, then you get that absorption through the mucosa of your mouth, and you'll get a bit better absorption versus taking a capsule of it that then again needs that strong stomach acid. Yeah? And then the last piece for that is that if you are going to take a B12, it's really great to look at a B12 in the methylated format. So if you look at the bottle on the ingredient list or sometime on the front, it will say methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin. And when a vitamin is methylated, it means that that's in the form that the body can just be like, thank you, and it absorbs it and uses it right away. There's baseline forms, cyanocobalamin and cobalamin, that are harder for the body to absorb. So that's just a good one to keep in mind. If you are going to look for a B12 supplement, methylcobalamin is the one that you want. Okay? Next is magnesium. And magnesium is probably the hottest supplement of the day, and not just in a fad way, in a way that really makes an impact. And that's why this is probably the big one that I wanted to bring to you all. So when we look at magnesium, we do absorb it differently as we age, but the biggest thing that we're seeing across our entire population is that the soils in North America, sadly, have become quite depleted in magnesium because of modern day farming practices. So food that's inherently rich in magnesium, let's say 2 pieces of kale 20 years ago actually used to have enough of our daily magnesium in it. Now we're having to have 2 bunches of kale to get an equivalent amount of magnesium, which is incredible. And a big check mark towards doing home gardening when we can to keep that soil, going well. When we look at muscle function in our body, and both our skeletal muscles, our biceps, our quad muscles, but also our smooth muscles, so the muscles around our blood vessels, they need 3 different nutrients. So the first one is calcium, and calcium helps with a muscle contraction. And most of us have plenty of calcium in our body. I'm going to talk about that one a little bit more later. The second one is potassium. And it used to be that we were all deficient in potassium. So I don't know if you remember as kids, or maybe you said this as well, if you have a foot cramp, eat a banana. And that's because the potassium in banana is very high. About 50, 60, 70 years ago, importing bananas and avocados from the tropics, it was pretty expensive. So people were actually more potassium deficient then. Nowadays, we're all having a ton of potassium in all of our food, but it's the magnesium that's deficient. And when we look at a muscle relaxation, we need potassium and magnesium. So that's where that magnesium's that missing piece. So when we look at what happens when we're deficient in magnesium, often it's signs that we're holding just a little too much tension in our body. We may find that we're not sleeping as comfortably at night. We may be okay to fall asleep, but then we're waking up a ton at nighttime because we can't get comfortable in bed. We do some exercise, and then we feel really sore the next day. We can get other things, again, that numbness and tingling can show up, or we can start to get some cognitive declines as well. And now more and more research is attributing all these different diseases to magnesium deficiency. So magnesium can be a really powerful one to treat or to dose. And not to say that just doing magnesium is going to fix your high blood pressure, but it absolutely makes a huge impact on it for those of us with high blood pressure. So magnesium-rich foods, of course, I really am a huge proponent of eating things and getting our nutrients in that way. So a few foods up there. My favorite, dark chocolate. I always joke that that's why I got voted many years ago of being the best naturopathic doctor in Vancouver, is because I told people to eat dark chocolate. Also, I love coffee, and I don't take coffee away from people. But really, again, when the soils are inherently deficient in magnesium, it does make it harder to eat the amount of these foods that we need to have enough magnesium. So when we look at dosing magnesium as a supplement, the type absolutely matters. When we look at things, and there's many more types than this, but oxide, citrate, and malate, for example, these forms of magnesium, they're only absorbed at about 10% in our stomachs with stomach acid. So this is why these forms actually work really, really well if we've got slower bowel movements, is because they help pull water into the digestive tract, and then we have a better bowel movement as a result. However, the ones like threonate and my favorite, which I've highlighted there, the bisglycinate and glycinate, these are absorbed at 100% in stomach acid. So at that level then, the body goes, oh, thank you, easy to use. It brings it into the muscle and it helps the muscles relax. Funny side story about this is I had a patient who was very, very active. She was training for a marathon. She would ride her bike to and from work every day. She was active all the time. And she came in to see me for insomnia because she said, you know, I'm doing all the right things. I eat a great diet. I'm very, very active, but I go to sleep at night and then I just wake up. At the slightest sound, I'm wide, wide awake again. So I said, okay, let's give, some magnesium bisglycinate a try. And I got an email from her the next morning, and the email just said, "Can you sleep too deeply?" ? And I sent her an email back, and I'm like, tell me what happened. And she's like, my dog was barking last night, and I didn't even wake up, and my fiance was like shaking me, being like, I don't mean she wasn't that far asleep, but it won't knock you out to that extent, but she was shocked at how much her body just needed something to allow her muscles to relax after all their output, and how that allowed her to slip into a deeper sleep pattern at night. So this can be a great one and definitely helps if you are moving your body quite frequently. And then lastly, looking at vitamin D. So vitamin D deficiency, extremely, extremely common. And sadly to the point that MSP, or Care Card System, has said, well, we're all deficient in vitamin D, so we're not going to test you for it anymore. So you can request to pay out of pocket for this. There's some specialists that will order this covered under MSP, but in general, if you were to see your medical doctor, you'd have to pay out of pocket. It's about $75, so it's considerable, but not too crazy. A test or a study from 2018, this looked at about 300 people, and of that you can see there's 15%, that green section, that had normal or good vitamin D stores, and everybody else had anywhere from a minor to a severe deficiency. The big culprit for that here in Vancouver and at our latitude in Canada is that we really only absorb vitamin D through our skin in July and August because we need that good sun angle. So if you're lucky enough to get to take a trip to Arizona or Hawaii during the winter, this is a wonderful way to bump it up. For those of us that are stuck here during the cold, rainy months, vitamin D supplementation may be needed. Many years ago, I guess when I started practicing, so that was back in 2014, our recommended daily intake of vitamin D at that time was 400 IUs per day. That's what Health Canada told us. And this was actually based on the population in Southern California, down around Los Angeles. Then a couple of years ago, they bumped it up to 1,000 IUs, which they bumped it up to Northern California. And then just this past fall, they've bumped it up now to 2,500 IUs. One of my colleagues, another naturopathic doctor, she was dosing herself at 5,000 IUs per day, almost continuously through the year. When we ran her vitamin D test, she showed up as 16. The reference range currently is 75 to 250. So sometimes we need even higher doses than that. And that's where doing the testing can really help to determine how much vitamin D you need. So important for our immune system, for our stress response, for tissue repair, for bone health, for energy. It's a really, really important one. So I really encourage you to look. If you do have a vitamin D supplement and you're still taking the 1,000 IUs, consider bumping up to a 2,500 IU dose per day. A lot of the pharmacies and clinics still have the 1,000 IU dosage on the shelf, and that's either because they're trying to sell out of their stock before they get the new 2,500 IU in, or that's the child dose that they're keeping. So just make sure you get that higher dose. Okay, Now, talking about motion. Motion is lotion. I have no clue who said this, but I think it's a very wise person, because this is hugely connected to our longevity and our overall health. When we move our body, and I think Terry mentioned it, it's the use it or lose it principle. If we sit, our body is like, nah, I don't need those quadricep or calf muscles. When we move, our body goes, oh, I got to pay attention to this. I got to rebuild these muscles and help them grow and stay healthy. And the other piece is this fluid within our joints, which is called synovial fluid. If we sit, that fluid just stays kind of stagnant. But if we can move, even bending and flexing our knee, that fluid gets pushed in and out and recycles and gets healthier, and that keeps our joints feeling healthy and good and lubricated. So bone health itself, I mean, this could be a whole topic. I could speak all day about bone health, but weight-bearing exercise is key. I remember, it was probably back in 2015, I was actually doing a talk in West Vancouver at a seniors home, and that morning, CBC had published this research paper saying that calcium really wasn't needed as a supplement in elderly people anymore. And my topic was on something completely different, but I ended up speaking for the whole half an hour about calcium as a result of this. But really, they've discovered now through many, many studies that we lay our peak bone mass in our late 20s and early 30s. So that's when, as teenagers, as young adults, we should have been getting the messaging, have lots of calcium then. As we age, it's not about bringing in calcium, through a supplement, absolutely through our food, we still need this, but it's about keeping weight-bearing exercise going. We need to jar into our bones to tell our bones, okay, we need to be building some more and not breaking them down as much. So this is where going for walks is amazing. It's simple, but that's weight-bearing. You're jarring your heel every time, and that sends that shockwave up through your body in a nice way, but it tells your bones, keep doing it, keep building and being strong, right? My mom was a nuclear medicine technologist for years at Lionsgate Hospital, and she actually did DEXA studies, so studies of bone mass and looking at osteoporosis. And she discovered through doing a test on herself that she does have osteoporosis. And so she called me up one day and she's like, I'm being really good, I'm taking Aquafit classes. And I'm like, Mom, is that weight bearing? And she's like, well, no. And I'm like, get out and walk. You're the one telling people to do these things. So yes, Aquafit's great. It tells our bodies, move and stuff, but it's not weight bearing because we're in the water. So lifting weights, going for walks, dancing, moving, all these things are wonderful to be doing. If you remember one thing from my presentation today, I hope it's this, because this can directly give you more years to your life. So I just am teaching you the lesson to longevity right now. And it's balance. So one of the first things that we lose in terms of mobility as we age is something in the physiotherapy world that they call ankle recruitment. Ankle recruitment. And that ankle recruitment is basically our brain recognizing where our ankles are in space and giving us the ability to adapt to uneven surfaces. So as we age, and just in our general way of living these days, we all have very lovely sidewalks. We have very sensible and cushy running shoes. So we have less need for our ankles to be kind of adapting to different scenarios. Think about walking barefoot on a beach, how much your foot is moving around, and especially on a pebbly beach, your brain is constantly sending messages back and forth to keep you balanced. But we can pretty easily walk down the sidewalk here knowing that there's not going to be a huge bump coming out, right? As we lose that faith in our ankles, and something that we usually don't notice as it's happening, then we lose trust in our gait. And over time, we start to take smaller steps that are a little bit more shuffling. We maybe bend our knees a little bit more. And that actually predisposes us to falls. And we know now that falls have direct linkages to a higher chance of mortality. So one piece of homework that I do with most of my patients, young and old, is I ask them if they brush their teeth for roughly 2 minutes, and most people nowadays have electric toothbrushes. How many people have electric toothbrushes? Yeah, excellent, good. So an electric toothbrush usually goes for 2 minutes. You can time yourself if you don't have an electric toothbrush, but it's to balance when you're brushing your teeth. Because really, we don't do much else when we brush our teeth, right? So what I encourage people to do is hold on to something, usually your cabinet or something to keep you supported in your bathroom. And it may be starting just with having a toe lightly on the floor and putting your weight in your other foot. And for 1 minute, so 2 sides of the teeth brushing, balance on one foot and then switch it up and balance on the other side. And that's it. Okay? But you're doing that twice a day. How many people do their physio exercises they've been giving twice a day? Nobody does, right? Sorry, physiotherapists in the back. You do it for about 3 days and then you stop. But most of us brush our teeth 2 times, at least 2 times a day. So if you can do what I call habit piggyback that balance to your toothbrushing, and you can build this up over time, right? You could have your foot up higher, you can have it lower if you need to. You may try having hand lightly on the countertop. Please be careful not to fall. But this is an incredible, incredible tool to keep that mobility going in the ankle. I have a couple who live independently. They're 93 years old now. And I hadn't talked to them for about 1.5 years, and I just had a call with them a couple of weeks ago. And they came on Zoom, and they're like, we balance every day. Yes, all right. So it's a really good one if you can incorporate that in. And then lastly, there's a test, a mobility test that we do in medicine, which is called a get up and go test, or a timed up and go test. And that test is literally having our patient sit down in a chair. Has anyone done this test before? No? Or maybe not that you know. Yeah, we've maybe done it here. You have your patient sitting in a chair, and I say to them, okay, stand up and walk across the room. That's it. Very complicated. We go to medical school for this one, right? But what I'm doing as a physician is not only timing that length, but also seeing what the mobility looks like, because this is such a functional movement, right? If I get up and move easily, my chances of having a fall are quite low. If I say, okay, please stand up, and I go like this, and then I don't trust my ankles and I go like this, well, right away I'm thinking, okay, we have some mobility issues, and what can we be doing to build that up? Where are these coming from? Is it from proprioception? Is it from that ankle recruitment? How do we build that mobility a bit better? And even just the act of sitting in a chair, what action am I doing here if I was in an exercise class? Doing squats, yeah. So there's even studies that are now being done linking the ability to do a squat with how long you're going to live. Because we sit in our chairs, we sit on our bed, we sit on the toilet. We need to be able to preserve that motion. It's one of the key motions as a human being to be able to squat. So of course, this is where it's wonderful to have physiotherapists, kinesiologists, people to help with mobility, is if that's a movement that you really have challenge doing, we're doing more of this sort of thing, can we work to rebuild that movement? So simple, but it has such huge implications on overall health and your longevity. Yeah. So as I wrap this one up, really aging gracefully is about maintaining movement. And the more that we can do that, the better. So really considering any of those potential deficiencies, especially if you're like, oh, I would really, really love to go for a walk, but I'm just so exhausted. Can we explore that a little deeper and see if there's other things going on? Can we incorporate weight-bearing exercise, ideally at least 3 days a week? And that's getting out for a walk. Maybe it's going and lifting a few weights. Maybe it's grabbing some soup cans out of the cupboard and moving them through your arms. We want to send our feet and our ankles some love. So even doing little ankle circles around, pointing, flexing, it tells our body, my ankles are important. The balancing, our toothbrushing balance, again, if you can remember one thing from today, please remember that one. Our get up and go movement. And then finally, it's finding activity that brings joy. Yeah? I often ask people, what's your physical activity like? They're like, oh, I should be doing yoga. And I'm like, do you like yoga? They're like, no. I'm like, why should you be doing yoga then? So I always turn it around and ask people, what is something that nurtures your soul? what is something that nurtures your soul? And of course, we can have the things that are quiet and sitting and reading and these sort of things, but is there an activity that nurtures your soul? And I was looking through the lovely activity calendar that you guys have, and there's so many activities here. Just having this community, and I love what Jennifer said, if you see me out walking, like, cheer me on. It's like, yes, that's the thing, you know? If someone's like, hi, have a good day, like, oh, you know, it brings something else to the movement that's not just, okay, I'm getting in my steps. So finding that joy is so, so key, and you have such a wonderful community around you to do that. So, yeah. So I'll be around. Ask me any questions that you have, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Robin Land. So if I do those exercises with high heels, does that count as double? Okay, I got this. All right, well, we come to our next speaker, who is my dear friend and colleague, none other than Marian Heemskirk. Marian has been a pillar of the nursing profession for more than 4 decades. So she started when she was 2. Driven by her commitment to excellence, she pursued higher education, earning a master's degree in leadership in health specialties and obtaining the prestigious Certified Health Executive designation. These achievements underscore her relentless pursuit of knowledge and the desire to excel in her field. As the director of community life, Marian is a beacon of leadership and innovation. Her wealth of expertise and compassionate approach to care for aging individuals, Marian's job is a testament to her commitment of making a daily difference in the lives of others. Marian.
Where's the clicker? I'll need the clicker. Anyway, hi everyone. I need the podium to hold the paper. So, and I'm just going to read all my notes. I should be boring. Oh, here we go. Get out of here. Funny guy. Anyway, I don't know how I'm going to compete with the last two, but I shall try. I'll try very hard. The props of the brain and all the wisdom on exercise, I will do my best. No promises. Okay, here we are. The healthy aging, the garden within. So what I want to talk to you about is I want to talk about the things that we need to do for ourselves. It's about taking care of yourself. So a really quick summary, if nothing else you hear in this whole presentation, is take good care of yourself, and when you take care of yourself, you can look after other people. So there, very beginning of time. So my nursing, if you can believe, I've been doing some sort of nursing at least for 47 years, which is a very long time. I started as a candy striper. I was 16 years old, 1977, Winchester Hospital. I was going down the hallway. I had a big cart. The cart had water on it. It had little snacks, fruit, all kinds of different kinds of things. And I would go up and down the different wards and make sure people had fresh water every day. And so we change the jugs of water, offer them something to eat. But the best part was talking to them, making them laugh about something or hearing a story or something from them. And often they were older adults that were in the hospital. And that was in 1977. I don't think it's any different today. It still happens that people are placed in hospital and they need someone to cheer them on. So that was my very first experience. I feel like I'm still a cheerleader 47 years later. The in-between is a picture of 1980 when I was a nurse and I graduated in Ontario as a registered nurse's assistant. When I came to British Columbia as a licensed practical nurse, and from there you see a picture of me here at Elam, and my hair got white. I think that's what happens when people move here. Just saying. Anyway, I've been at Elam for 20 years and I have loved every minute of it. And the best part are the people I work with and the people that live here. Okay, the wellness wheel. So nurturing yourself is not selfish. And I think sometimes, even from a Christian perspective, we think when we do things for ourselves, that it's not very good thinking. We're too selfish. Thinking of yourself, nurturing yourself is not selfish. It's essential to your survival and your well-being. That is almost like a sermon, isn't it? Oh, the clicker. I hope I'm going the right way. I can't see the screen at the back, so I just need to make sure it's up there. So the whole person is what you have to look after. It's not I just have to look after my hair or I just have to make sure I eat. You need to look after everything about yourself. So it's like a puzzle. If there's one piece missing of not taking care of yourself, you will not do well, for sure. Now I wanted to tell you, I had an image of myself this morning, and take the clothes off, please. I had an image, not yet, wait. Anyway, I had an image of myself this morning, and this is what I looked like before I got ready. Take all the stuff off there. And you think that's funny? I took an image of all of you, and it's coming up the aisle. Okay, come on up. I had to do one better than Terry. Terry had a whole bunch of brains up here. Oh yeah, Terry, look at this, all the bones. Woo! Come right on up. And it's true, this is like each and every one of you. This is how much stuff you've got inside you. And there's more than this. Can you pull it right up here on stage? I think it's heavy. Bob, you're a good helper. Okay, so each one of you, I have an image of all of you. There you go. So now we're going to do a test because, I just want to give you a test before we even get started further. How many bones are in your body, approximately? Not everybody has exact because of different issues. How many? 64? I hear a 500. I sound like an auctioneer now. Okay, come on up here. Jump up here. Make it nice and big. Okay, guess how many bones? Go. 209. Oh, sorry. I have 3 extra. Okay, 209. And children, when they're born, they have 270. But after they start getting older, they start fusing together. And when you get really old, the back here starts fusing together too sometimes, right? But on average, 206 for grown adults. Okay, how many muscles do you think are in your body? How many muscles do you think are in your body? Okay, we're ready. 650. All right. Next, how many organs are in your body? You know you haven't got a brain, right? Everybody here held their hand up. They all had a brain, so that's 1. Any guesses? 6? Okay, turn her over. We have 78 organs. 78 organs. There are 5 main ones, and that's you have your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, and I'm missing it. Left my head, sorry. Okay, next one, nerves. How many nerves do you have? Now, we were talking about this morning, all the way from here to Toronto, remember? I have a number, Terry, I don't know. I got this when I counted. 7 trillion. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, the next one is this. What do you think the length of your small and large intestine are together? How long do you think it is? Okay, we have to roll this out. Where are the intestine people? Okay, they're coming down the aisle. How many? 13 meters. Nope. That's very long for intestine. It's got to fit in here too, right? How about feet? Go to feet instead of the other. 127? Well, that's a very good guess, but it is not, ladies. It's all, just the green one. Pass the green one up here. Pass the green one. Come on up. Great volunteers. Thank you. Okay, you hold the other end. Hold the other end. Okay, that's great. So can you see this green here? That's your small and large intestine, about 15 feet. It's all wrapped up in here. Can you believe it? How much blood do you think you have in your body? How many liters? You say 7, somebody said 9, 6. Okay, you're getting close. So on average, it is 5 liters. On average, it's 5 liters, but sometimes someone who's pregnant may have double that. So, like, there's all kinds of different variations, but these are all on average. But what I'm trying to say is that there's all this unique stuff going on inside us that we have to take care of. We need to make sure we're nourishing every little piece, every little part. And those were just some statistics that I thought would be interesting. Now, I've got a little timer that's going on here, so I've got to go faster, so that you can have lunch, I think. And I don't want to bore you too much, but I will go through this, really, and I'm going to stand here so I can see the slides. Okay, so we talked about drinking water. How much water do you need to drink in a day? 8 glasses. Get yourself in a routine. I heard someone, Terry was saying something this morning about, don't be too regular, but I want you to regulate yourself on this. 1 when you wake up, 1 before 1 at breakfast, 1 in between breakfast and lunch, 1 at lunch, 1 in the afternoon, 1 at supper, 1 before bed, and 1 at bedtime, and you can get 8 in. Get yourself into a routine on that. What do you need to eat? You need lots of vegetables. What else do you need? Fruit, lots of fruit. And we need to have the grains, the carbohydrates, the breads. We need to have dairy product. You need to have meat or meat substitute. You need the protein. That's a plate. If you cut your plate in half with your just idea of thinking, don't literally cut the plate. But on one side you have fruit and vegetables. 1/4 is your carbohydrates, either your rice or your potato or something of that sort. And on the other piece, you're going to make sure that you have your meats. Everybody likes chocolate. We heard it over here this morning. If you want to eat chocolate, you want to eat sweets, you want some sugar, eat it after you have a meal. Because your body's already working to break down all the food, and it will also continue working on that piece of chocolate. And there's theories from lots of people. That's mine. And I say, even if you're diabetic and you want a little bit of sweet, do it after your meal so it can start breaking itself down. Making sure that you take your vitamins, making sure that you get immunized for this time of year for influenza. We have Shingrix. There's lots of different kinds of viruses that are out there. Make sure you're protecting yourself. Wash your hands well. We talked about having a pharmacist, having a naturopath. We have, there's a podiatrist or a foot care nurse. We have our pharmacy. There's lots of different people around who can help you if you can't figure something out. Just remember those things. Getting outside, we talked about that. Exercise class, we talked about exercise class. This all fits under the physical well-being. How many people have seen a child's playground? Okay, they make those playgrounds for adults. My goal is to get one here before I live here, okay? All right, this is the kind of thing you can walk and do balance. Like, wouldn't that be fun? And we could play outside and get our minds going. And look at this, we can hang on instead of the chair. We can go outside and do this. That'd be great. Love it. Mental health, making sure you take care of your mental health. Now, I got to speed through this, so I'm not going to give you a lot, but I'll give you just a little bit. Making sure that you sleep well, we talked about that. Keeping social media to a limit. So if you watch TV, don't keep watching TV. Just do a little bit. If you are on the phone or FaceTime, et cetera, oops, back one. Making sure that you get outside walking, making sure that you eat well, read, do Sudoku, puzzles, etc. Take a vacation. Do something different than what you've done. This is where you're going to just nurture your brain with something else, something exciting. and get the sunshine. Outdoors, it doesn't matter. You'll still, even if it's raining, go out. It's good. Emotional health, nurturing, making sure that you have friends that you connect with, families that you connect with. Gotta stand here so I don't twist myself and fall right over. And also connecting to people. The older you are, the wiser you are. And you have a lot to offer so many people. Don't underestimate the things that you have, the gifts you have for others. So just remembering that. For social health, that relationships, the importance of relationship. And spiritual health, the importance of spiritual health. Do you know that there's over 100 million Bibles sold each year? That is the book that everybody should read. There is something in it for everyone. And it truly is. There's lots to tell, and there's even lots for young children to learn from there as well. So it really is good. At Elam, there's different ways we celebrate. We have hymn sing, we have Bible study, they have church services. But people don't only do it here. People go outside to where they either are familiar with their church, their home church, or they find other ones that they really appreciate. It's just so important to make sure yourself that looking after your spiritual well-being. We honor people as they get older, and here in our full care and in our assisted living, we had Grace Vanderande had made honor blankets. And these honor blankets we place over people if they pass away here at Elam in the full care or assisted living. We put it over the stretcher as they're leaving the building. And it really is about honoring people in their life that they have, but it's good for our staff too. So through your relationships, whether it's, for mental health, for your social well-being, etc., it's okay to grieve when you're older, and it's okay to be sad about things, as long as you don't stay there too long. You want to be able to come back up again too. But we have to honor people who are gone, and as much as, we can balance and we do things, there gets a point in your life where you can't do it anymore. And it's not your fault, it's not something you did wrong. So it does get to the point, but it's stay as healthy as you can until you can no longer. And Simon Fraser, this is a picture taken in St. Andrews, Ontario. I lived very close to this place, and Simon Fraser is buried there. There's a mark of him over on the other side of the country. And I always found that quite amazing, because I knew that before I even knew I was going to live in British Columbia. So it was very, very interesting how life connects itself. But I remember that. So leaving your mark, even after you're gone. What is your legacy? What types of things? We have so much to think about. I don't know how you have time to sleep. The beautiful environment we have here at Elam, it's not only Elam, but our world itself, taking care of our world. You see garbage on the ground, you pick it up. You do, making sure it's giving a helping hand, not only at Elam, but elsewhere. That keeps our environment looking well. Lots of examples, some great pictures of Garrison Crossing, being by the river, living in good housing, seeing gardens, etc. These are all great environmental things that help all of us. So take care of our planet. This is a really quick summary here, taking care of our planet and taking really good care of yourself. Self-care is healthy. Everybody say it. Self-care is healthy. And now I just want to read one story to you. I received this from yesterday. I had thousands of stories to tell you, but time is limited. Sorry, Clara. Can I do one story? Okay. And this here one was sent to us by a family yesterday. And it was in regards to, I don't know, who knew Jenny Ringma? Jenny Ringma. Yeah. So Jenny Ringma had lived here at Elam. She'd been here, I want to say, for 13 years. And she was 103. Amazing. But her family wrote this, but it doesn't only talk about the care. A community like Elam is so important to each person. It's like you have a neighbor who cares about you. You have someone who maybe does house cleaning because you don't want to do it anymore, or you can't do it anymore. There's food in the kitchen that can be prepared and sent to you if you can't cook anymore, if you want a dinner out. So there's all kinds of things that happen in this community that you can have the services you need if you can't either do it yourself or you don't want to do it yourself any longer. So this is the Dear Elam Village team. As the Ringma family, we want to take a moment to say thank you for the for the more than extraordinary care you provided our mother as she spent the past 13 years comfortably and content, living and enjoying life in your care. We are grateful, amazed, and blessed by the commitment of each individual that formed the Elam team, and I would say the Elam family or the Elam community. Thank you for the many ways you shared, showered, and shouldered with and for our mother. She was given a glorious life by God's grace, so often delivered by your hands of care. Thank you to each one who held a hand, opened a door, answered a call, cleaned a chair, shared a meal, and prayed a prayer. Mom carried a practical business approach to matters of her care, and in the last 2 years of her life, would often view herself as a burden on each person caring for her. Her prayer is that God would be ready for her and she could stop being a burden. The irony for us as a family was that we were gifted to see her acceptance grow in all circumstances. There was a wisdom of gratitude expressed in her acknowledgement that she had more than she needed at Elam. The people were better than necessary, and that the events overflowed her day. She was blessed with 103 years of living and being at Elam, and we are blessed with the knowledge and confidence that she was living her best life. So when I received this yesterday, and I thought I had to tell you all, but it really is, live your best life you can. And you are living, and you have choices till the day you die. So take care of yourself.
What a beautiful story, Marian, and great advice for all of us living our best life. So we now come, is everyone hungry? I am. Except I lost my wristband, so I guess I'm not going to be eating. I'll be joining this guy. Hopefully someone will still feed me. Just a couple of announcements. So the buffet is out in the bistro area. Please do have your wristbands on. And it's two-sided, so you can go on each side so the line will go faster. We want to get all of you fed and comfortable within an hour, so we're aiming for that. You can eat in the bistro or upstairs in the auditorium. The upper lounge is also available, so those are the areas to eat. I really want to encourage you, when you have time, to try out the Buddy mobile projector, interactive projector. Now, who here has an iPad?